Katie Monroe walked through the security checkpoint at Galactic Station Meridian like she did every morning. She carried her tool bag over one shoulder and her work tablet in her other hand. She was a maintenance engineer, level 3, which meant she fixed things when they broke. Air systems, water pipes, electrical panels. Nothing exciting, but she was good at her job. The security officer at the checkpoint was Marcus Webb. He had been working there for 20 years and thought he had seen everything. But when he looked up that morning, he froze. A human woman stood at the scanner, normal. But 3 alien cubs walked behind her like baby ducks following their mother. Not normal at all. Marcus felt his heart beat faster. These were cavern cubs. Their parents were 9 feet tall with black claws that could cut through metal. Even the cubs were dangerous. They stood 4 feet high with golden eyes and sharp teeth. Station rules said cavern cubs needed to stay with their parents at all times. They needed safety restraints. They needed supervision. These 3 cubs had no restraints. No parents nearby. They just followed the human woman through the security line like it was the most normal thing in the world. "Stop right there," Marcus said. He put his hand near his weapon but did not draw it. The cubs turned to look at him. All 3 moved between him and the woman. They watched his every move. "Is something wrong?" the woman asked. She looked confused. "The cubs," Marcus said carefully. "Why are they following you?" The woman glanced back at them like she had forgotten they were there. "Oh, them. They started following me about an hour ago. I was told they never follow anyone." Marcus pressed his communication button. "This is Webb. I need a cavern handler at Security Checkpoint 7 right now. We have 3 cubs without supervision." The woman frowned. "They have supervision. Their parents are right over there." She pointed to a viewing area. 2 massive adult caverns sat behind a transparent wall. They watched, but did not seem worried. "Then why are the cubs not with them?" Marcus asked. The woman shrugged. "I already told you. They started following me. I tried to make them go back, but they would not listen. I thought security could help figure it out. I am already late for work. I need to fix air recyclers on level 19. Marcus looked at the cubs more carefully. They were not acting aggressive. They were not even alert like young predators usually were. They just sat near the woman's feet. Sometimes they made small chirping sounds to each other. They seemed happy. One of them opened its mouth in a yawn. Marcus saw rows of teeth that would someday bite through steel. "What is your name?" Marcus asked. "Katie Monroe, employee ID 7734B. I have worked maintenance here for 3 years. You can check my records." A handler arrived. His name was Click Rasp. He was a tall insect-like alien called a Threx. He had worked with caverns for more than 10 years. A small device on his chest translated his clicking sounds into words humans could understand. "What is happening here?" Click Rasp asked. Marcus pointed. 3 cubs, no restraints, following this human. Click Rasp's antenna moved in surprise. "Following her? By choice?" "That is what she says." Click Rasp walked slowly toward the cubs. He made a traditional cavern greeting with his 4 arms. The cubs ignored him completely. They only watched Katie. "This is very strange," Click Rasp said. He looked at Katie. "What did you do to make them trust you?" Katie moved her tool bag to her other shoulder. "Nothing special. I was walking to work through the residential area. They came out of their family's home and started following me. I thought maybe they wanted to play, so I tried to send them back. But they would not go." Click Rasp moved closer to the cubs. One of them, a female with silver marks, made a low growling sound. Not mean, but clear. "Stay back." "Amazing," Click Rasp whispered. "Can I talk to the parents?" Marcus nodded. Click Rasp went to the viewing area. He made complex hand signs with the adult caverns. The conversation took several minutes. Then Click Rasp came back. "The parents are Alpha Line," Click Rasp explained. "Very high status in cavern society. They say their cubs have never shown interest in any being outside their family. Never. They watched the cubs follow this human and decided to see what would happen. They are as confused as we are. Katie sighed. Look, I really need to work. Can someone just carry them back to their parents? I strongly suggest no one try to separate them from you by force, Clickrasp said. The cubs have chosen you as their guardian for now. Forcing them away would upset them badly. It could be dangerous. Marcus rubbed his face. So what do we do? I suggest Miss Monroe goes to work, Clickrasp said. I will go with her and watch the cubs. Maybe we can learn why this happened. Katie looked at the 3 cubs. They stared back at her with clear love in their eyes. This is the weirdest Tuesday ever. Welcome to working with different species, Marcus said. You can go, Miss Monroe, but I have to write a report about this. Of course you do, Katie said quietly. She adjusted her tool bag. Come on, then. She walked toward the exit. The 3 cubs immediately followed. Their clawed feet clicked on the metal floor. Clickrasp followed behind them. His translation device recorded everything. Marcus watched them leave. He shook his head. 20 years of security work. He had seen humans do impossible things. They could drink more than species twice their size. They could be more stubborn than the most difficult aliens. They could think faster than computers. But this was something new. A human had become a cavern parent without even trying. He made a note to check on this later. Something told him this story was just beginning. The cubs chirped happily as they followed Katie down the corridor. The silver-marked female walked closest to Katie's right side. The male with dark gray stripes took the left. The 3rd cub, with bronze-colored scales, walked directly behind her. They moved like trained guards protecting someone important. Katie did not notice. She was reading her work schedule on her tablet and thinking about the broken air recycler waiting for her on level 19. She had no idea that her life had just changed forever. She had no idea that she had just done something no human had ever done before. Behind them all, Clickrasp made notes in his recorder. Subject appears unaware of the significance of this bonding. Cubs show protective formation typically reserved for alpha parents. This researcher has never seen anything like this in 30 years of studying cavern behavior. We'll continue observation. The station's morning shift continued around them. Hundreds of beings from dozens of worlds went about their daily business. But something special had happened that morning. Something that would be talked about for years to come. A human maintenance worker who just wanted to fix air systems had accidentally become family to the cubs of cavern alphas. And somehow, that made perfect sense. Part 2. Katie had expected to spend her day fixing air circulation systems. Instead, she was playing babysitter to 3 alien, predator cubs who thought she was their new favorite person. The cubs followed her through the maintenance corridors of level 19. Their claws made clicking sounds on the metal floor. Clickrasp, the Threx handler, walked behind them. He kept talking into his recording device. This has never happened before, Clickrasp said for the 5th time. I have studied cavern behavior for many years. Cubs never bond with alien species, especially not humans. Katie stopped at access panel 19 Delta and put down her tool bag. Maybe they just like me because I am short and not scary. One of the cubs, the male with dark gray stripes, chirped and sat on her feet. His brother and sister settled nearby. They formed a half circle around her. Caverns are apex predators, Clickrasp explained. They do not like weakness. They respect strength and confidence. Great, Katie said. She pulled out her scanner. So I am accidentally acting confident to a species that could eat me. Actually, a cub this age could not eat an entire human, Clickrasp said helpfully. They would need to share. Katie gave him a flat look. That does not make me feel better. She opened the access panel and started checking the air system. The readings showed a blockage in the main valve. Probably debris from the recent meteor shower that hit the station's outer hull. I need to climb into the duct, Katie said. She looked at the narrow opening. This will be interesting with 3 chaperones. She took off her tool belt and started to squeeze into the maintenance shaft. Immediately, all 3 cubs started chirping loudly. They sounded upset. They do not want you to go into the small space, Clickrasp said. This is protective behavior. They act like cubs protecting their mother. Katie stopped halfway in the shaft. I need to do my job, guys. The silver-marked female cub pushed forward. She stuck her head into the shaft. She sniffed and chirped in worry. She is checking for danger, Clickrasp said. This is advanced protective instinct. Katie waited while the cub looked around the shaft. Then the cub pulled her head out and sat back. She seemed satisfied it was safe. The other two cubs stopped their worried sounds. Okay then, Katie said. Glad I have your permission. She crawled into the maintenance shaft. Her headlamp lit up the narrow space. Behind her she could hear the cubs settling down to wait. But they made small worried chirps that echoed through the ductwork. The blockage was about 20 feet in. It was a tangled mess of tiny debris and dust around a damaged filter screen. Katie carefully pulled out the material and put it in a disposal bag. She was halfway done when she heard something that made her blood cold. The sound of a pressure leak. Katie twisted in the narrow space. She scanned with her tool. There, a thin crack in the duct wall, probably caused by the same meteor damage that made the blockage. It was not critical yet, but in a few days it could cause major decompression problems. Clickrasp, she called back through the shaft. I need you to file an emergency repair request. We have a hull problem. Understood. The handler's voice echoed back. Should I contact your supervisor? Yes, tell Greg I will be here a while. This needs immediate attention. Katie finished clearing the blockage. Then she carefully looked at the crack. She could do a temporary seal, enough to hold until a full repair team could replace this duct section. She pulled out her emergency sealant gun and started applying the industrial compound. She was focused on making an even seal when she heard new sounds. Human voices raised in alarm, and the unmistakable growl of upset cavern cubs. Katie quickly backed out of the shaft. She came out to find chaos. 3 station engineers had arrived to help with the repair. The cubs had positioned themselves in a defensive formation. They blocked the newcomers from getting near the maintenance shaft where Katie had been working. What is going on? Katie asked. One of the engineers, a nervous man named Peter Hayes, pointed at the cubs. We got the emergency call and came to help. But these things will not let us near the access panel. The largest cub, the dark-striped male, made a sound Katie had never heard before. It was a deep, rumbling growl that seemed to shake the floor. His brother and sister stood beside him. Their golden eyes locked on the engineers. They think you are a threat to her, Clickrasp explained calmly. They are protecting her. I do not need protecting, Katie said. She walked past the cubs toward the engineers. Guys, stand down. The cubs immediately stopped growling. They looked up at her with confusion. See? These are my coworkers. They are here to help. Good guys, the cubs chittered to each other. Then they slowly relaxed. But they did not move away from Katie. They kept watching the engineers carefully. Peter looked at the other engineers. Is this normal? Nothing about this is normal, Katie said. But we have a hull problem that needs fixing. Let us focus on that. She explained the situation. The team got to work. The cubs watched closely as the engineers set up their equipment and started replacing the damaged duct section. Whenever anyone got close to Katie, the cubs would tense a little. But they did not interfere as long as she stayed calm. 2 hours later, the repair was done. The team packed up their equipment. Peter stayed to talk to Katie. So, he said carefully, you have 3 alien predator cubs acting as your personal bodyguards. Apparently. That is pretty cool. That is pretty weird. Peter grinned. Same thing sometimes. He looked at the cubs. Do they bite? As if understanding the question, the silver-marked female opened her mouth. It might have been a yawn or a warning. She showed off her impressive teeth. I am going to say yes, Katie decided. Better safe than sorry. After the engineers left, Clickrasp came over. His antenna vibrated rapidly. I have been talking to the cavern parents, he said. They want to speak with you. Katie felt nervous. About what? They want to understand why their cubs have chosen you. In cavern culture, this is very important. Cubs of alpha bloodline do not bond with outsiders, ever. Yet theirs have bonded with you in just hours. What if I do not have a good answer? Katie asked. Because I really do not know why this is happening. Then tell them that, Clickrasp said. Honesty is very important to caverns. They will respect truth more than comfortable lies. Katie looked down at the 3 cubs. They had settled into a happy pile near her feet. The male had fallen asleep with his head on her boot. All right, she said. Let us go talk to the parents. This should be interesting. The cubs woke up when Katie started walking. They immediately fell into formation around her. The silver female took the front right position. The dark-striped male took the left. The bronze cub walked behind. They moved like trained soldiers escorting someone important. Katie tried not to think about what she was walking into. Meeting the parents of apex predator cubs who had adopted her as their guardian. What could possibly go wrong? Click-Rasp walked beside her. Do not be nervous. Alphas can sense fear. Just be yourself. That seems to be working well so far. Being myself is what got me into this situation, Katie muttered. Exactly, Click-Rasp said. That is why it will work. They walked through the station corridors. Other beings stopped to stare at the unusual group. A human maintenance worker with 3 cavern cubs. Word was already spreading through the station. By tomorrow, everyone would know about the human who had been adopted by alpha cubs. Katie just hoped she would survive the meeting with their parents. Part 3. The cavern family quarters were massive. Most station apartments were small and efficient. But some species needed special space. The caverns, being both large and territorial, had been given a suite that could fit 12 humans comfortably. Katie stood at the entrance. The 3 cubs still followed her. Click-Rasp was there to translate. The door slid open, showing the interior. The space was decorated with organized chaos. Cavern cultural items hung on walls that were scratched and marked. These marks showed the family's history and importance. 2 massive adult caverns waited inside. The male stood nearly 9 feet tall. His black scales had silver patterns that showed high status. His golden eyes looked at Katie with great intensity. She felt like prey being studied. The female was slightly smaller but just as scary. Her scales were deep midnight blue with bronze marks. She sat in a formal greeting position. Honored alphas, Click-Rasp said. His translator made the proper cavern formal greeting. I present Katie Monroe, Human Maintenance Engineer, Level 3. She comes in peace and with respect. The male cavern spoke. His voice was a deep rumble that Katie felt in her chest. Click-Rasp translated. I am Krathvar, Father and Alpha Prime of the Station Meridian Cavern delegation. This is my mate Sarah Kath, matriarch and guardian of our line. Katie swallowed hard. It is an honor to meet you both. Sarah Kath looked at her cubs. They immediately ran to their parents and started chirping excitedly. They seemed to be telling their story about the day's adventures. The matriarch listened patiently. She rumbled in response sometimes. After several minutes, Sarah Kath turned back to Katie. When she spoke, her voice was softer than her mates, but still full of authority. My cubs tell me you protected them from danger, Click-Rasp translated. They say you went into a dark place to fight a threat. You would not let them follow into danger. Katie blinked. I was just fixing an air duct. There was no danger to them. But there was danger to you, Krathvar said through Click-Rasp. The damaged hull section. The pressure leak. You put yourself at risk while making sure our cubs stayed safe. I was just doing my job, Katie said. She felt out of her depth. I did not really think about it. The 2 alphas looked at each other for a long moment. They seemed to communicate silently the way bonded mates could. Finally, Sarah Kath gestured to a sitting area. It had furniture for both caverns and humans. Please sit, Click-Rasp translated. We want to understand you better. Katie sat on a reinforced bench. She was very aware of the massive predators settling nearby. The cubs immediately piled around her feet again. They seemed tired from their exciting day. Our cubs have never done this before, Sarah Kath said. Alpha cubs do not follow. They do not bond with strangers. They are trained from hatching to be confident, independent, strong. Yet today, they ignored their training to follow you. I really did not do anything special, Katie insisted. I was just walking to work. Krathvar leaned forward. Describe exactly what happened when they first came to you. Katie thought back to that morning. I was in the residential corridor checking my work schedule on my tablet. I heard chirping and looked up. The 3 of them were standing there just staring at me. I smiled and said hello because they are cute when they are not showing their teeth. Then I kept walking and they started following me. You smiled at them? Sarah Kath asked. Yes, I smile at pretty much everyone. It is just polite. And you called them cute? Well, they are, kind of. In a way that says they could definitely kill me but choose not to. Click-Rasp made a sound his translator did not render. Katie thought it might be the Threx version of a laugh. Krathvar spoke again. You showed no fear. You acknowledged them as beings worthy of respect. You did not treat them as threats or as lesser creatures. You simply accepted them. Is that unusual? Katie asked. Most beings either fear our cubs or treat them like exotic curiosities to stare at, Sarakath explained. You did neither. You treated them like you would treat any young beings, with casual kindness and natural warmth. Katie looked down at the sleeping cubs. They are just kids, right? Why would I not be nice to them? The two alphas looked at each other again. Sarakath spoke at length. Clickrasp translated carefully. In cavern culture, children are raised to be warriors and leaders. We do not coddle them. We do not make the world soft for them. They must be strong to survive and thrive. But there is a concept in our culture called the gentle guardian, a being who shows strength not through aggression but through quiet confidence and unshakable calm. Our cubs have recognized this quality in you. I am a maintenance engineer, Katie said. I am not a warrior or a guardian. I fix air ducts and replace circuit boards. And yet, Krathvar said, when danger appeared today, you did not panic. You looked at the situation, took action, protected those around you, and solved the problem. This is the essence of strength that caverns respect. Katie felt her face warm. I was really just doing my job. Exactly, Sarakath said. Even through the translation, Katie could hear approval. You have competence without arrogance, courage without recklessness, kindness without weakness. These are the traits of a true alpha, regardless of species. The silver-marked female cub, apparently not as asleep as Katie thought, chirped softly. She nuzzled against Katie's leg. My daughter has named you, Sarakath said quietly. In her language, she calls you Shadow Who Walks Softly. It is a title of great respect. Katie felt her throat tighten. I am honored, truly, Krathvar stood. His massive form dominated the room. Katie Monroe, you have been accepted by our cubs as guardian friend. This has never happened before, but it is real. We wish to offer you a place in our family circle as honorary pack-kin. I do not even know what that means, Katie admitted. It means, Clickrasp explained, that you are considered family by this Cavern Alpha line. You have rights and responsibilities to this family. They have the same to you. You have been given a level of trust that most beings will never receive from a cavern. Katie looked at the cubs, then at their parents. What kind of responsibilities? You would be welcome in our home at any time, Sarakath said. You would be trusted with our cubs. You would be under our protection as one of our own. In return, we ask only that you continue to be yourself, competent, kind, and true. That seems like you are getting the short end of the deal, Katie said. Krathvar's expression softened slightly. You do not yet understand your own value, Shadow Who Walks Softly. This is perhaps part of why our cubs have chosen you. Katie sat in silence for a moment. She processed everything. Finally, she said, I accept. I am honored to be part of your family circle. The two alphas rumbled in approval. The sound vibrated through the floor. The cubs woke up and immediately started chirping excitedly. They bounced around Katie with obvious joy. However, Katie added, I still need to go to work tomorrow, so maybe the cubs could stay home, just for practical reasons. Sarakath made a sound that Clickrasp's translator rendered as laughter. We will explain to them that their guardian friend has duties that need her attention. But I warn you, cubs are not known for their patience. As if to prove the point, the dark-striped male cub climbed into Katie's lap. He settled himself and promptly fell back asleep, purring like an engine. Katie looked at Clickrasp helplessly. How long are they going to be attached to me? Unknown, the handler admitted. This is completely unprecedented, but I suspect you should get used to having small shadows for a while. Katie sighed. She carefully petted the sleeping cub. My life just got really weird. Or, Clickrasp suggested, perhaps your life just got significantly more interesting. Looking at the three cubs, the proud alpha parents, and the bizarre situation she found herself in, Katie could not really argue with that assessment. Part 4 word spread through Galactic Station Meridian faster than a hull breach. By the next morning, everyone knew about the human maintenance engineer who had been adopted by Alpha Cavern cubs. Katie discovered this when she arrived at the maintenance department's morning briefing. She found herself the center of attention. Her supervisor, Greg Palmer, was a grizzled veteran with 30 years of station experience. He looked up from his tablet with an expression somewhere between amusement and frustration. Monroe, he said, got an interesting call from Station Command last night. Katie winced. Is this about the cubs? This is definitely about the cubs. Greg gestured to the assembled maintenance crew. Apparently, you are now considered a diplomatic asset. Command wants us to be aware that you have special status as honorary Kavran Pakkin. One of Katie's co-workers, a young Centauri named Lysa Vale, whistled low. You got adopted by Alphas in less than a day. That might be a station record. It was not intentional, Katie protested. The best things never are, Greg said. He pulled up a holographic work schedule. Right, Monroe, you are still on regular duty, but Command has requested that if the Kavran family needs anything, you are to be made available, within reason. I am not losing my best air system tech just because you are popular with predator cubs. They are not that bad, Katie said defensively. They are apex predators who could tear through hull plating, Greg countered. But apparently they think you are the best thing since artificial gravity, so here we are. He tapped his tablet. Monroe, you are on level 22 today. Water recycling systems need maintenance. Try not to acquire any more alien dependence. The briefing ended. Katie headed to her assigned section. She made it halfway there when she heard the now familiar clicking of claws on metal decking. 3 Kavran cubs rounded the corner at a dead run. They chirped excitedly when they spotted her. Oh no, Katie said. Guys, I am working. The cubs ignored this completely. They immediately took up their protective positions around her. Behind them came Click Rasp, looking harried. My apologies, the handler said. The cubs became extremely upset when they realized you had left your quarters this morning. Their parents tried to keep them home, but they would not be consoled. We thought it better to allow them to come with you than to deal with 3 distressed alpha cubs. Katie looked down at the cubs, who stared back with unmistakable devotion. This is going to make working difficult. Perhaps, Click Rasp suggested. This is an opportunity for cultural exchange. The cubs could observe human work practices. It would be educational for them. Fine, Katie sighed. But they have to stay out of the way. Water recycling systems have a lot of tight spaces and automated machinery. It is not safe for untrained observers. The cubs chirped in unison. Katie chose to interpret this as agreement. The morning proved interesting. Katie worked on the main recycling intake valves. The cubs watched with intense focus. They occasionally chittered to each other in their native language. When she had to climb into a confined space, the silver-marked female positioned herself at the entrance like a guardian. Around mid-morning, Katie took a break in the station's maintenance break room. Several of her co-workers were there. The appearance of 3 Kavran cubs caused an immediate reaction. Are those the alpha cubs? Asked Jake Morrison, a hydraulics specialist. Yes, Katie said, pulling out her lunch. They are kind of following me around today. Can I pet them? Jake asked. Absolutely not, Click Rasp said immediately. These are not domesticated animals. They are young sentient beings from a predator species. Physical contact without their explicit consent would be highly inappropriate and potentially dangerous. Jake held up his hands. Just asking. One of the cubs, the dark-striped male, approached Jake slowly. The young Kavran sniffed carefully. Then he made a low rumbling sound and returned to Katie's side. He says you smell like fear. Click Rasp translated. He does not trust you. Jake went pale. Good to know. The other cub, the one with bronze-tinted scales, was more adventurous. He wandered around the break room. He investigated the various pieces of equipment and furniture with obvious curiosity. When he reached the coffee maker, he stood on his back legs to get a better look at the brewing mechanism. Careful, Katie warned. That is hot. Bronze chirped and tapped the glass pot with one claw. Then he jumped back when the heat registered. He looked at Katie reproachfully. I did warn you, she said. Silver and Stripe thought this was hilarious. They made sounds that Click Rasp's translator rendered as laughter. Lysa, who had been watching with fascination, spoke up. They really do act like kids, don't they? Because they are kids, Katie said. Just kids with claws and a bite force that could crush metal. Best kind of kids, Lysa said cheerfully. After lunch, Katie returned to work. The cubs settled into a routine. They watched her work. Sometimes they investigated interesting equipment, but generally they stayed out of the way. Silver seemed to be taking notes in her own way. She paid close attention to what Katie did and how she did it. It was late afternoon when the emergency alarm sounded. Katie's training kicked in immediately. What is the emergency? Her communication unit crackled. Hull breach level 23, section Delta. All personnel evacuate to safe zones. Maintenance teams to emergency stations. Katie's heart raced. Level 23 was directly above her current position. She grabbed her emergency kit. I need to go. The cubs immediately went on high alert. Their playful behavior vanished. They formed a protective triangle around her, growling softly. The cubs sensed danger, Click Rasp said. They will not want you to go toward the threat. People could be hurt, Katie said. I am going. She started moving toward the emergency access ladder. The cubs followed. Their posture was tense and ready. When she began climbing, all 3 cubs scrambled up after her with surprising agility. Level 23 was chaos. Emergency lights flashed red. The sound of hissing air indicated a significant pressure leak. Katie could see the problem immediately. A piece of space debris had punched through the hull. The emergency bulkheads had not fully closed because of a malfunction in the automated systems. Several station residents were trapped in the danger zone. They could not evacuate because the manual overrides were not responding. Katie ran to the nearest control panel. The cub stayed right behind her. She pulled open the emergency access port and started manually rerouting the bulkhead controls. Come on, she muttered. Her fingers flew over the manual override switches. Close. The cubs had fanned out. Katie realized with a start that they were directing trapped people toward the emergency exits. They used their bodies to shield civilians from flying debris. They are helping, Click Rasp said. He sounded amazed. Alpha cubs are not typically altruistic toward non-family members, but they are protecting these people because you are protecting them. Katie got the first bulkhead moving. It sealed off the breach section. She moved to the next control panel, working to contain the damage and restore pressure to the safe zones. A support beam, weakened by the pressure difference, suddenly cracked with a sound like a gunshot. It swung down directly toward Katie. She did not have time to move. But Bronze did. The cub launched himself at Katie. He hit her square in the chest and knocked her out of the beam's path. They both went down in a tangle of limbs and claws. The beam crashed into the deck where Katie had been standing just a moment before. Bronze, Katie gasped. She checked the cub for injuries. He was shaken but unhurt. He chirped frantically and nuzzled against her to make sure she was okay. You saved me, Katie said. She hugged the young cavern despite Click Rasp's earlier warnings about inappropriate physical contact. Thank you. Bronze purred, a deep rumbling sound that Katie could feel in her bones. With the immediate danger past and the bulkhead sealed, Katie finished her emergency repairs. Station security and professional rescue teams arrived to take over. Katie found herself being escorted to the medical bay for a checkup. The cubs refused to leave her side. Dr. Helen Price, the station's chief medical officer, examined Katie with practiced efficiency. No major injuries. Some bruising, elevated heart rate, but that is expected. You did good work up there, Monroe. Bronze did better work, Katie said. She scratched the cub behind his ear ridges. He saved my life. Yes, well, Dr. Price said. She eyed the 3 cubs who had taken up residence around Katie's medical bed. I have been getting a lot of interesting reports about you and your new friends. Station Command is very interested in this development. What kind of interested? Katie asked warily. The good kind, mostly. Interspecies cooperation is one of the station's primary missions. What you have managed with the caverns, even accidentally, is exactly the kind of breakthrough we are supposed to be fostering. Katie looked at the 3 cubs. Silver was grooming Bronze, checking him over for injuries in her own way. Stripe was watching the medical bay's door, clearly standing guard. I did not mean to break through anything, Katie said. I just fixed air ducts and then everything got weird. Dr. Price smiled. Sometimes the best diplomacy is just being a decent person. As Katie was being discharged, her communication unit buzzed. It was a message from Krathvar and Sarakath. They asked her to visit their quarters when she was able. Katie had a feeling she knew what this was about. Part 5. Katie stood outside the Cavron family quarters for the second time. But this visit felt different. She was bruised and exhausted. She was accompanied by 3 cubs who had just proven they were willing to risk themselves to protect her. The door opened before she could knock. Sarakath stood there. Her golden eyes moved immediately to her cubs. She checked them for injuries with a mother's instinct. They are well, Katie said quickly. Bronze saved my life today. He is a hero, Sarakath rumbled deeply. Bronze chirped back, clearly telling his version of the story. The matriarch listened. Then she reached out and gently touched Katie's shoulder with one massive claw. You protected our young, Click Rasp translated, and they protected you. The bond between you is no longer honorary. It is real. Inside the quarters, Krathvar waited with another cavern Katie did not recognize. This one was ancient. His scales had faded to gray. He had ceremonial markings that showed high rank. This is Elder Vorath Kem, Click Rasp explained. He is a keeper of traditions and witness to bonds. The elder studied Katie with eyes that had seen decades of history. When he spoke, his voice was thin but carried undeniable authority. I have lived 70 cycles, Click Rasp translated. I have witnessed many bondings, many alliances, many friendships between species. But never have I heard of what has happened here. An alpha's cubs choosing an alien as packkin. An alien accepting this bond and proving worthy through actions, not words. Katie shifted uncomfortably. I just did what anyone would do. No, the elder said firmly. You did what few would do. You risked yourself for strangers. You remained calm in crisis. You protected the vulnerable while solving problems. These are not common qualities, even among caverns. He moved closer. His aged joints creaked. Katie Monroe, you have been tested and have not been found wanting. The cubs have chosen well. Their parents approve. And I, as witness and elder, declare this bond true and binding according to the old traditions. What does that mean exactly? Katie asked. Sarakath spoke at length. Click Rasp translated carefully. In practical terms, it means you are formally recognized as guardian friend to this family. You have rights to visit, rights to counsel, and rights to call upon this family in times of need. It also means you have responsibilities to honor this family's trust, to protect their cubs when they are in your care, to represent them honestly in your dealings with others, Krathvar added. It also means that any being who threatens you threatens our family. You are under our protection now and always. Katie felt the weight of this settle on her shoulders. That is a lot. It is everything, the elder said. Bonds are not given lightly among caverns, but when given, they are unbreakable. Silver chirped and pressed against Katie's leg. Stripe and Bronze joined her. The three cubs surrounded their adopted guardian with obvious affection. There is more, Sarakath said. We wish to propose something unprecedented. We wish for our cubs to continue their association with you as part of their education. Katie blinked. You want me to babysit? We want you to teach them, Krathvar corrected. Our cubs learn to be warriors and leaders from us, but you have shown them something we cannot teach. How to be strong without aggression, how to protect without dominating, how to solve problems through skill and knowledge rather than force. I am a maintenance engineer, Katie protested. She felt like she had said this far too many times. I am not a teacher. You teach by example, the elder said. This is the best kind of teaching. Our cubs watch you and learn what it means to be truly capable. They learn to value intelligence, preparation, and calm assessment of danger. These are lessons that will serve them well as they grow. Katie looked down at the three cubs. They watched her with those golden eyes so full of trust and hope. I cannot promise I will always do the right thing, Katie said. I'm going to make mistakes. All beings make mistakes, Sarakath said gently. It is how we respond to those mistakes that defines us. And you, Shadow who walks softly, respond with honesty and effort to improve. This is what we want our cubs to learn. Katie took a deep breath. Okay, I will do my best, but I am still going to work every day, and they have to follow safety protocols. Agreed, Krathvar said. We will ensure they understand the importance of following your instructions, especially regarding dangerous equipment. The elder approached Katie. He placed one ancient claw on her head, barely touching but somehow conveying immense significance. Go forth with our blessing, guardian friend. Teach our young ones well, and know that you have gained not just allies but family. Over the following weeks, a routine developed. The cubs would meet Katie at the start of her shift. They followed her through the station as she worked. They learned to recognize dangerous equipment. They learned to stay clear of active machinery. They learned to alert her to problems their sensitive hearing detected before human instruments could. More importantly, they learned by watching. They saw Katie treat everyone with respect, from the station commander to the newest janitor. They watched her solve complex problems through methodical analysis. They observed her handle stress with humor and competence, and they adored her for it. Station residents grew accustomed to seeing the unusual group moving through the corridors. One human engineer followed by 3 increasingly confident young caverns. What had started as a bizarre curiosity became a symbol of what Galactic Station Meridian was supposed to represent. Different species learning from each other and building bridges across vast cultural divides. Katie still occasionally marveled at how her life had changed. She had gone from being an anonymous maintenance tech to being a cross-species guardian. She was recognized and respected by one of the galaxy's most formidable predator species. But in quiet moments, when Silver would fall asleep across her feet while she worked, or when Stripe would bring her interesting pieces of debris he had found to examine, or when Bronze would protectively position himself between her and any perceived threat, Katie realized something important. She had not just gained honorary family members. She had gained real family, the kind that showed up every day, the kind that protected each other without question, the kind that loved unconditionally. And maybe that was the real story, she thought. Not that a human had impressed alien predators, but that connection and family could transcend species when beings were willing to simply be genuine with each other. 3 months after their first meeting, Katie was working on a particularly stubborn power relay. Silver approached with purpose. The young cavern, now noticeably larger and more confident, chirped insistently until Katie looked up. "What is up, Silver?" Silver gestured with her head toward the residential section. Her brothers flanked her. All 3 cubs stood with formal posture that Katie had learned meant something significant was happening. "Okay," Katie said. She set down her tools. "Lead the way." They escorted her to the cavern quarters. She found both parents waiting along with several other adult caverns she did not recognize. The elder Vorath Kem was also present. "What is going on?" Katie asked. Sarah Kath spoke with obvious emotion. "Our cubs have reached an important milestone. They have chosen their adult names, names that will carry them through the rest of their lives. It is tradition that these names are announced in the presence of all who have helped shape them." Katie felt her throat tighten. "I am honored to be included." The ceremony was conducted in formal cavern with Clickrast translating. Each cub stepped forward to declare their chosen name and its meaning. Bronze went first. "I am Cavith Monroe, which means Shield of the Gentle Guardian. I take this name to honor the one who taught me that true strength protects the vulnerable." Stripe followed. "I am Torath Monroe, which means Watcher who learns wisdom. I take this name to honor the one who taught me that knowledge and preparation prevent harm." Finally, Silver stepped forward. "I am Sarath Monroe, which means Silver blessed by kindness. I take this name to honor the one who showed me that compassion and capability are not opposites, but complements." All 3 had incorporated her surname into their adult names. Clickrasp explained this was unprecedented. "They honor you," the handler said quietly. "They carry part of your identity forward as part of theirs. In cavern culture, this is the highest compliment one can give." Katie could not speak. She simply opened her arms. The 3 young caverns, now bearing names that would mark them for life, pressed close to their human guardian. Later, as Katie prepared to leave, Krathvar stopped her. "You came to us as a stranger," the Alpha said. "A simple maintenance engineer, or so you claimed. But you have proven to be so much more. You have taught our cubs lessons we could not teach. You have shown them that strength comes in many forms. For this, our family is forever in your debt." "I am not sure I did anything that special," Katie said. "That," Sarah Kath said with a rumble that sounded like laughter, "is exactly why you were perfect for this task. You do not seek glory or recognition. You simply do what is right every day with quiet competence and genuine kindness." Our cubs saw this and recognized something precious. As Katie walked back to her quarters that night, 3 young caverns trailing behind her as always, she thought about the strange turns life could take.